Hello and welcome to No BS with Dr. Wood, and I'm Dr. Norman Wood. I have been asked to comment on a very sad and tragic case where a man in Elkview, West Virginia was run over by an ambulance and killed. This case involves two very important issues that need to be addressed. The first is, over the past several decades, we have been influenced by falsehoods, lies, and propaganda to believe that there is no difference in the male and female biology, that women can do anything a man can do and vice versa. Well, that is just so foolish. That is beyond ignorance. And if you believe that, you have been watching too many Wonder Woman movies and you're delusional, because in real life, that doesn't happen. And this foolishness is getting people killed. Some will say I'm misogynistic and sexist. I say this is absolutely not misogynistic. Women are special and should be treated as such. But this is sexist because we are not the same, and we have never been the same. There are stark differences between male and female, and we must get our heads out of our butts to address this properly. And when circumstances change from where you are taking care of someone else who had an emergency to where you now feel your life is being threatened, that brings out an entirely different set of thought processes and reactions, and they are entirely different for men and women. Also, we're going to talk about how over the past several decades in this state and country, we have ignored our mentally ill population to where, again, people are needlessly harmed or killed. We must bring back our state hospitals. So let's jump into this when I come back and cue the music. Welcome back to No BS with Dr. Wood. The video I'm about to show is disturbing. It shows a man being killed. You see the ambulance approaching and the man in the dark trench coat running out into the road. The ambulance stops briefly and then accelerates, running over the man and dragging his body almost 2 miles. One of his arms were torn off in the process. This man was John Lucas, a known man in the Elkview area. When John was young, he had a traumatic brain injury, and his father described him as being a 16-year-old boy trapped in a man's 45-year-old body. The two ambulance crew members were both young women. The driver clearly panicked, and it cost this man his life. And I'm sure the driver regrets this greatly. And this is an important point. If the driver had been a man, there is a very good chance that he would not have run over Mr. Lucas. And he certainly would never have dragged the man almost 2 miles in a panic. And this is the biological difference between men and women. And God created us this way. Women have a natural instinct to run away from danger, especially if there are children involved. She will grab that child and run. A man will calmly walk into the danger. And this is divinely designed. Women and children must survive during a life-threatening occurrence. Without this built-in safeguard, we would not survive as a species, and this has been ingrained in us over thousands and thousands of years of genetic selection. Women have that great nurturing and extreme caring ability when it comes to children. Men don't. Women and children will run from danger to save themselves. Men won't run. And we as males feel that instinct when we are still very young boys. We are the ones jumping our bikes off of ramps and breaking our arms. while young girls are playing with baby dolls. And that is divinely designed for very good reasons. Men are designed to protect the women and the children. God made us bigger, stronger, faster, and much more aggressive. And God also gave us the calmness in an emergency, where women were created to run and to save themselves and the children. And this next video shows this perfectly. When the propane tank catches on fire, the 3 women run as they should. The 2 men in flip-flops, shorts, and drinking beer calmly get out of their chairs, and one walks over to the propane tank and nonchalantly turns it off. Now the women were smart. If that propane tank had exploded, the women would have survived and been safe, and the men would have been blown into 1,000 pieces all over the neighborhood. But it didn't explode, and those men were doing what God intended men to do, to be calm in an emergency and to take care of the problem even at great risk. And sometimes we die in those attempts. That's very common. But we still do them because that is the way we were created. God created women special. You are to run. You are to save yourself. This is our biology. This is our genetic makeup. And anyone who disputes that is just plain ignorant. And going back to first responders, as a former state trooper, you never knew what you were responding to. There were several times that I ended up pulling my pistol, cocking it, pointing it at someone and saying, "You take one more step and I'm going to kill you." One time I was notified that Olin Clay Gorby, they called him Buck, was wanted for being in a fight the night before during which he pulled a gun. I was driving through a small town and I saw Buck walking down the road towards the cruiser. I pulled up in front of him, opened my door on the state police car, and pointed my pistol at him. He had his blue jacket over his left shoulder, and he was holding it there with his right hand that I couldn't see very clearly. He said, "Hi, Trooper Wood," in a big smiley face as he walked towards me. I cocked that .357 pistol and I said, "Buck, you take one more step and I'm going to kill you right here in this street." I then told him to pull that hand out slowly so I could see it. He did, and he had a .38 caliber revolver in his right hand. He was going to walk up to me and shoot me in the face. Later, Buck went to Texas, where he killed a man, and they executed Buck Gorby in Texas. And let me show you how fast a shooting can take place.
800 Bravo, shots fired.
This shooting took less than 4 seconds. 1 man shot and 1 man dead. The point to this is you never know what you are going to have to deal with after you get a call, whether you are a cop, a fireman, or an EMS. This next video is where a female EMS crew member was stabbed in the stomach by a disturbed patient.
Drive his legs.
Cabrón, dejen buste. Me quieren matar.
I got the knife.
Mel? Mel? Are you okay? He got me with the knife.
Where?
In my stomach. Okay.
Thank God the 2 female crew also had a male crew member with them and present in the ambulance. This next video is of the White House Correspondents' Dinner with President Trump a few nights ago. What's the difference between the men and the women actions? With this dinner video, some people will say, well, if they had had more training, they wouldn't have panicked. Well, possibly, and that may be true, but it will never change who and what we are genetically. Training will never completely replace your natural instinctive response to danger. That is genetic. That is hardwired in us, whether you are a man or a woman. But no matter what training you get as a woman, you are still not as strong or as fast or as aggressive or as cool and calm in danger as a man is. That is biology. The fighter pilots in the U.S. Air Force are 97% men and 3% female. And I have worked with many fine female police officers and female agents, but I have never in 20 years met one female that I would choose to be comfortable with and going into an active shooting situation where I may have to kill someone or at least fight them. Because a female would only get in my way, and that puts all of us in more danger. That is reality. And we all remember the female Secret Service agents at Butler, PA, when President Trump was shot in the ear. They acted like buffoons. And the Secret Service is one of the most highly trained agencies. So it's not the training. It is biology. We must stop this woke thinking and hiring when it comes to the sexes because it gets more people injured or killed. The sex differences is why there has never been a Navy SEAL. There has never been a female Delta combat operator, and that is why the majority of females now in combat roles will not qualify due to the new anti-woke Army fitness test that everyone must pass annually starting this June. They say up to 80 or 90% of the women will fail the new fitness test and 10% of the men will fail. And that is for the best. When we go to war, we don't fight women. We fight men who are very lethal. And for any woman who says, yes, but I have taken self-defense classes or I know karate, well, this is a picture of a woman who has a black belt in karate fighting a man who has no formal fight training. In the actual video, which you can find online, this man never strikes her hard, and when he has multiple chances, he still doesn't strike her. And she does the best that she can. But he plays with her like a cat with a mouse. In this next video, it shows a disturbed man asking for a young woman's phone number. And when she won't give it to him, he does this.
Do it. No, you stand right here. No, you stand right here. You stand right here.
That is brutal. And that is what men are capable of. This next video is of two female police officers trying to arrest a man in a store.
2 girls, 1 guy. Let's see. I be wanting to help, but 2 girls, 1 guy. 2 girls, 1 guy. 2 girls, 1 guy.
If the man had actually been fighting back, it would not have been pretty. And yes, they could have used a taser, but sometimes they don't work, or you have no time to use it. Sometimes you just must use brute force, and 2 women are still no match for a determined man. It was good the 2 male officers showed up. These things are sad to watch, but they have been going on for several years in law enforcement, the military, and other physical occupations. Watch this ladder competition for firefighters. Now that was impressive. DEI woke hiring practices have weakened these institutions and have put many people in unnecessary danger. This must stop. There must be the same exam for everyone, no matter your sex. If you pass the exam, you have earned the right to sit at that table and with respect. If not, you don't belong there. In another example of the differences between sexes, there have been over 800 men qualify for the Indianapolis 500 race. There have been only 9 women in all of history to qualify for the Indy race. That is 1.2% of the racers. It takes considerable bravery, perfect hand, foot, and eye coordination, and extreme concentration to be able to drive a car over 200 miles an hour and stay alive. And I know, because at one time I was the high-speed driving instructor for the Secret Service, the CIA, the U.S. Marshal Service, and others at the Federal Law Enforcement Training Center in Georgia. And I never had to fail a man, but I had to fail several women. And you hated to do that because they lost their jobs. I would even take a lady who was struggling to pass the driver's test after hours out on the high-speed driving course so she could practice. But most of the time, it didn't make any difference. They didn't have the coordination or the reflexes to pass. We must get away from this stupid mentality that we are all the same. We are not, and we never have been the same. Women have special nurturing skills. Men are just physical warriors that run to danger. And if the situation can be dangerous or life-threatening, it is never safe to have a female or females there by themselves without at least one man. This puts the females in unnecessary danger. That is not being responsible, no matter what you think. And this tragedy involving Mr. Lucas is going to bring much of this to the attention of the attorneys, the insurance companies that provide the liability coverage for the organizations, and the civil courts. No matter what the Kanawha County prosecuting attorney decides to do as far as criminal charges, this is going to end up in civil court. That's where it's headed. All right, let's shift gears. Now to the next issue, and that is how we have not properly taken care of what I call the MIDAH, the mentally ill, drug addicted, and or the homeless in our state. And we have not done anything right for almost 50 years. Would John Lucas have benefited from us having a state mental hospital? Absolutely. Traumatic brain injury patients need special care to restore cognitive, physical, and emotional functioning. Would John still be alive? It's very possible. John is the one who, and he's the only one, who decided to run out into the road in front of that ambulance in the middle of the night. If he had had special TBI care, he may never have made that decision that cost him his life. Because I'm sure he startled and scared those ladies in that ambulance, and they panicked. We have done nothing in decades for our MIDAH. This is why we have such a homeless population in this state. And anyone who has been in a homeless camp for more than a few days is either mentally ill, drug addicted, or both. And I know. I helped run 14 urgent care clinics in Seattle for a few years. Seattle had a MIDAH population of almost 8,000. In all of West Virginia, we have a MIDAH population of maybe 2,000. I would see 60 to 80 patients a day in those clinics in Seattle, and many of them were straight off the street. One of the clinics was on Aurora Avenue, where the Green River Killer got all of his prostitute victims that he killed and then dumped their bodies along the Green River. After coming back from the West Coast, I took the position as the physician director for the West Virginia Divisions of Corrections and Rehabilitation. We have approximately 12,000 inmates. Of them, 8,000 are serving time for drug addiction activities or crimes related to drug addiction. 40% of the inmates have mental illness diagnosis, and 10% have serious mental illness diagnosis such as schizophrenia, bipolarism, and others. After these people serve their time, they are let back out on the street to do whatever they wish, and in no time, they are doing the exact same thing that got them put into prison to begin with. We have no long-term mental health hospital in West Virginia, and most of our inmates need to be in a hospital and not in a prison. From all reports, Mr. Lucas did not have a drug problem, but many with drug addiction have mental health issues due to the neurotoxic nature of narcotics. Narcotics will damage and turn off the prefrontal cortex of the brain, where we get our rational and logical thought processes and our inhibitions. Once the prefrontal cortex is turned off, we are no longer ourselves. The drugs are in control, and you can't help it. And we have thousands of these people in our prisons and on our streets trying to survive here in West Virginia every single day. And most of them are not being treated. And many of them are a danger to themselves or others. The police can only do so much, and we have no place to put these people for help. And the local detox centers are no help. We can now prove it takes the brain almost 4 months to even begin to recover after drug abstinence. That is 4 months just to begin to heal. And it takes another year or 2 for the healing process to complete. That means we need a place to treat these people for 1.5 to 2 years. And we have nothing like that here in West Virginia. These people will continue to walk our streets, commit crimes, and will continue to be encountered by our law enforcement and EMS on a daily basis. And if you are an unarmed female EMS worker, you are putting yourself in danger every time you go out. In Washington State, I took care of a man named Ron. When I first met Ron, he would scream at me and in my clinic, "I don't know why they won't give me a effing job." My first incarceration was just when they found my girlfriend hanging in my apartment. And my second incarceration was just for the firearms violation. I don't know why they won't give me a effing job. Ron was very dangerous when I first met him. And we have hundreds of Rons walking the streets in West Virginia today, untreated mental health and or drug addictions. We are asking for more tragedies like John Lucas and worse. We all know this next video when the Ukrainian girl was stabbed on the subway in New York. This is a sickening video, and it shows what is walking around on our streets today. And you will never know when or how the mentally ill may explode.
Disturbing surveillance video shows Irina Zarutska, a refugee from war-torn Ukraine who sought peace and safety in the USA, stepping onto the train after finishing her shift at a pizza restaurant. In the seat behind her is 34-year-old DeCarlos Brown. Watch as he slowly opens a pocket knife, then stands and without warning plunges the knife into his victim in an unprovoked attack. He strides away, and at first, even Irina doesn't seem to realize how badly wounded she is, but her life is ebbing away.
And this is the first thing you need to understand about the mentally ill. With a normal brain like you have, you will never be able to understand why they do the things they do. You just need to always remember you will never understand why they do the things they do. No one will ever know why Mr. Lucas decided to act the way he did the night he was killed. And we have hundreds of mentally ill, drug addicted, and or homeless in our state every single day, and we are doing nothing to solve the problem. When I'm asked to speak in front of the governor's staff, mayors, and city councils, I tell them to stop wasting taxpayer money, which is your money, because there is nothing they can think of to try that has not been tried 1,000 times by 1,000 different people in 1,000 different places and failed over the past 50 years. If we do not bring back our state hospital system, this is never going to get any better. We can never arrest our way out of this, and we can never build enough prisons or jails. That is not the solution. Local detox clinics are not the solution either. If we do not place these people in a hospital where we can give them the care that is necessary over the time period that is needed, this will never change, and people will continue to die. So that's it. We in this state must decide to do what is necessary. And if you agree with me, contact your state legislature or your state senator and complain. And I'm free to give a presentation to any group if you would like it. So you can just contact me here on this YouTube or on Facebook. So thanks for watching, and I will be seeing you soon. This is Dr. Norman Woods signing off. God bless you, God bless West Virginia, and God bless America.